Hi Eastview family, it's Vicky. Welcome back to another Daily Devo. My question for you today is, how do you view obedience? That's what we're going to be talking about today in our devotion. Our passage today is from John 14, and Jesus is encouraging his disciples before what is to come. And in verse 21, which is what we're looking at today, it says this: "Whoever has my commandments and keeps them, he it is who loves me. And he who loves me will be loved by my Father, and I will love him and manifest myself to him." Here, Jesus provides us with a clear direction. Simply put, if you love Jesus, you obey his commands. Easier said than done, right? Obedience is not a trendy word. I think many people mistakenly view obedience as a burden or a duty or means of earning God's love or proving our worthiness. And obedience often requires us to make choices that go against the norms of this world. It's not a popular choice to make. But Jesus invites us to see obedience as an expression of our love for him. When we love someone, we naturally desire to please them, right? So in this verse, Jesus tells us that love and obedience go hand in hand. So then how do we go from obedience out of duty to an obedience driven out of love? I think the key is to shift our perspective from earning love to experiencing love. First, we have to recognize, or maybe remind ourselves, that God's love is not earned, but it's freely given. We love because he first loved us. And so when we internalize this truth, our obedience becomes a natural outpouring of gratitude and devotion. Then we have to recognize that obeying is not about adhering to a set of rules, but rather, obeying is about drawing near to God's heart, his desires for us, and his will. When we draw near, this intimacy transforms our obedience from a burden into a beautiful journey. We then obey because we want to, not because we have to. That burden is lifted and joy and freedom can take its place. Now, obviously, our obedience is not perfect, but when we understand that God's grace and forgiveness cover our mistakes, we understand that we don't ever lose God's love when we make mistakes, but we are embraced by his mercy. The second part of this verse explains that when we demonstrate our love for Jesus through obedience, we experience the Father's love in return. It becomes a continual interchange of love for Jesus and from God the Father. And then the most significant promise in this verse is that Jesus will manifest himself to those who love him through obedience. This means that those who genuinely love and obey Jesus will experience his presence and revelation in their lives through the Holy Spirit. It implies an intimate, personal relationship with Christ where he makes himself known to us. And so, as you reflect on this verse today, consider your relationship with Christ. Are you willing to embrace a love-driven obedience? Remember that through obedience, we not only express our love for Christ, but we also invite him to work in our life. And then we can experience a love that shapes our character, transforms our lives, and brings us closer to the heart of God. May the Lord teach us to obey him, mind, heart, will, and body.